Hi, it's Ileana, and today I wanted to discuss a beautiful project that I've been working on. It's a new book called Cosmic History of Us Galactic Humans in the Milky Way and Andromeda Galaxies, Volume 1 and 2. I've been so curious about the history of our galactic races and where we come from. So basically, that curiosity has created these books. I always wanted to know where we came from, where we humans came from. And I call us galactic humans because we have ancestors where we came from: Lyra, Andromeda, we came from Arcturus, the Arcturians, Andromedans, Lyrans. And I've always had a curiosity how these civilizations had seeded life on Earth, as well as who the founder races were and the seeders. So these two books described that and how our universe began, how creation started. So we have several beautiful sources of information. We have galactic history, the human journey, Milky Way galaxy, Andromeda galaxy. We have some galactic history by Matheus Di Stefano. Some interesting information about the founder and seeder races according to Ashayana Dean. Galactic history of Lyra, Vega, the Elohim, planet Avion, where human life began. So very interesting. Lyran humanoids, the Vegans, reptilians, Syrians, the reptilians, the Draco, the Sayakar, where the Sayakar come from and where the Draco come from. They come from a different universe, actually. So they're not originally from around here. This is what I learned about the histories. There's a lot of different historical information in these books, these two volume sets. And there's a lot of stuff about Arcturus, stargates, Orion, the original families who were the 13 blood families, who the Anunnaki were created from, and how the Anunnaki played a role 450,000 years ago on Earth. And a lot of information about Lemuria, Mu, Atlantis. So much wisdom. There's also information about meditation and healing within the body. So these books really discuss that. And what was going on Earth. That Earth has been seeded with life for millions of years. There's information by a little bit from Alex Collier on the history, and a lot of others. A lot of info about Nibiru, about the whales, the cetaceans, the Anunnaki, the Patal, founder race. A lot of information in these volumes about that. Also about the Vril, about what happened in the 1920s that started creating the secret space programs. Also what the moon is and when the moon arrived here. So a lot of stuff going back to the 1920s and all the way to the beginning of creation and what's going on here right now, currently with the secret space programs, as well as history of inner Earth. So these are the things that we cover in Volume 1, and also discuss things about healing. So I just wanted to share that and sort of show you a little bit of the book, what the inside looks like, a lot of beautiful artwork, and a lot of information. So this is how the history starts. Yeah, so the intro, history, we go back 400 billion years ago to creation. So this is quite the book. This is volume 1. And I talk about a lot of DNA codes, light sequences, also the densities and the dimensions and the different beings that live there. So I talk about a lot about that too in this book, and the various star systems and when things started happening in creation. So you're going to get exact dates and a lot of clear, precise information about what went on when creation began to modern day, and how we were created and seeded, how the founders were created, the seeders and the guardians, and what is the Galactic Federation of Worlds. This book also covers that information. Yeah, so a lot of stuff is covered. Yeah, so you get to see some beautiful artwork as well. Talk about Saturn, the rings of Saturn, and how Egypt was also how the Egyptian pyramids were created, the technology. They were using anti-gravity actually, and they had these wands that would levitate the rocks and the stones to create the pyramids. So also talking about the ancient technologies and filling in the blanks of human creation and civilization. So yeah, the new Earth, we talk about that as well. So a lot of interesting information in these volume sets of books. We talk about the Pleiadian space stations, what those look like, the floating cities, the Anunnaki and the Sidecar, what happened billions, millions, and trillions of years ago. Yeah, so a lot of good information here. We talk about the multiverse as well and how that was created, the moon, what the moon is and who brought it here, whales, aquatics. Yeah, so we talk about a lot of interesting things, how the Homo sapiens were created. So, and the genetics was altered and changed to evolve them, along with the other advanced beings that were living on the planet. Maria Orsich, the Rill, what happened in Aldebaran, who they were contacted by, and that created those first anti-grav ships in the 1920s. Here we go. I described what the Draco warrior reptilians look like, the warrior caste, the royal white Draco, because there's the warrior caste, the workers, and the scientists. There's the royals, and those have wings, and they're white. The warrior caste is green, and also the different types of Sidecar reptilians, and some of them have wings, some of them don't have wings, some of them are green, brown, white, black, and they're sort of thought as the space dragons, off-world space dragons, because some of them look like it. And this book also talks about the dinosaur experiments and the dinoids and what they look like. So yeah, there's images included, tall whites. So talks about the how the Greys were involved as well and stuff like that. So it covers all of creation from beginning to present. And we also talk about inner Earth towards the end, solar warden, planetary corporations, interplanetary corporate conglomerate, what happened in the 2016 elections, very interesting as well. Yeah, nervous system and healing. Yeah, and also the stuff about inner earth, Mount Shasta, Telos. Yeah, so we talk about a lot of these things. Inner earth, what's hollow earth, what's inner earth, and here's the timeline for the SSP stuff as well, what happened and how that looks like, and some artwork. So that's volume 1. So this is volume 2 of Cosmic History of Us Galactic Humans in the Milky Way and Andromeda Galaxies. So this volume focuses on the different beings who had seeded life in our known universe in the Milky Way and Andromeda Galaxies. Some of them are humanoid, some of them are more extraterrestrial looking. So like the Pleiadians are more like us, the galactic humans, Andromedans, Arcturians. Those guys played huge roles in seeding life on Earth. There's also the Anunnaki, who came to Earth about 450,000 years ago, and they did a lot of genetic experimentation in augmenting the evolving humanoid beings on Earth, and they did a lot of experiments on the intelligent primates and created different races like the Neanderthals and eventually Homo sapiens, us. And they did a lot of genetic experimentation on Earth. They did mining for gold and other resources. We had reptilians living on Earth as well. So in the ancients, some of the Patal had lived on Earth and they were protecting the humans. So it's not just the Anunnaki that were here 450,000 years ago evolving our genetics. From 22 to 24 races participated in seeding life and giving us the genetics that we have. So the Patal played a huge role, and they were here living on Earth as well. There was reptilians living here for a long time, and the book talks about that history, and also the galactic history of how it all began is in this book. Second volume continues from volume 1 with that information. So you'll learn a lot about the Anunnakis, a lot about the different species of Andromedans, Pleiadians, Arcturians, Sirians, Lyrans. A lot of life began in Lyra and Era on those planets when humanoid life was first being seeded. The origins were from those places. So you'll get to learn a lot about these different species and their contributions. You'll learn about the Agarthans. You'll learn about the different types of Draconians, reptilians, the Saikar, who are actually the space dragons, and what they do and who they are. They're not a positive group. But it's important to know about the different species, their technology, spiritual guidance, evolution, who's working to help us, who's not working with us, the different beings who are visiting Earth, and their intentions and agendas. There's a lot of information about Aldebaran, amphibians, the ancients, the Andromedans, so the Anunnaki, and when they came here, what they were doing. Yeah, so, and there's images as well. There's the written descriptions, and there's the physical images of these different beings, who they are, what they do, where they come from, and the constellations, the star systems. So there's very good descriptions, how old they are, what kind of ships they're coming here in, or if they don't have ships, some of them are non-physical. They're able to travel energetically. And the Anunnaki created some gray subspecies who turned out to be Egyptians, like Akhenaten. So it was quite interesting, that Anunnaki history and involvement with humanoids, draconians, and the alpha draconians and reptilians. They have different species. Like there's the white Draco, the royal caste. There's the green reptilians, who are the warrior caste. There's white Draco that have wings. There's the scientists. There's different kinds of reptilians. They're not all the same. So this book shows you guys what that looks like. And also the Matre species, what kind of grays they created. Some of them are non-biological species and some are biological. Like there's different kinds of species. There's a Merthyr, there's Almanook, there's all kinds. The Sassani, the felines, which come from avian, the founder races, the greys. So this provides the written portion, the insectoid, the Martians, and who these beings are and their role, the Lyrans, the Matre, as I was just discussing, the Martians, and some very exotic looking ETs. Their names are hard to pronounce, the Nomo. So various species, humanoid and non-humanoid, reptilians, and their history. So the Centesian from Centauri A, Proxima 3, the Sirians, Tau Session, the Vegans, the Venusians. So the Zeta Reticuli. And this is the galactic human journey. It describes where things started in human evolution and when. So there's images, presentation images for all of that, and star charts and star maps so you guys could see the densities, the different densities of evolution, and the frequencies of matter. So, and when life started, and life started billions, 400 billion years ago, even trillions of years ago. So volume 1 and 2 discuss that, and the different genetics involved, who genetically contributed to our creation as galactic humans, and how far that was done by the different species, humanoid and non-humanoid. Again, there's a lot of information on the founders and the seeders. I find the information on the Patal quite interesting. And also about the different councils, the Council of Five, Galactic Federation of Worlds. So yeah, a lot of interesting information here. Especially how Earth is connected to the Sirians, the Arcturians, the Lyra, Vega, and the beings that came from there and seeded us. And I'm just going to show you guys also some of the images of the ETs. That's the star systems where all these beings come from. Here's their Garthons, the Acartians, a lot of different species, the Aldebarans, amphibians, the ancients, the Andromedans, the Anunnaki. And the Anunnakis look different. Some of them have elongated skulls, some of them have hair, some of them don't. Some of them look very humanoid, or they might look even a little bit like the Greys, humanoid Greys, the hybrids, the Arcturians here. There's avian species too. So there's different kinds of species. The Betelgeuse, Bellatrix, some of them are not so human looking. The Bigfoot, the Capellians, the Karens, Chiaravelda, interesting Cassiopean, Centaurian, Sidecar. Again, some of them have wings, some don't. It depends on the species. The Dinonoids, the draconians, the dries. These guys are, the Matre made them. The Matre have made a lot of different species who are their allies because they biologically created them. So there's Egoroth. These guys are actually spiritual guidance. They provide spiritual guidance. The Almanuk, also spiritual guidance. The Merthyr guidance. They're on the positive councils. Esasani, felines, the founders, the Gingbo. Yeah, so a lot of interesting, the Greys, a lot of interesting Uti species. This one, these guys are genetically engineered. The Hanai Chondras, they're genetically engineered by the Matre. That's what I was talking about. The Matre created some species that are not purely biological. So, yeah, there's a lot of descriptions about these guys here. Who are the good ones, not so good ones, the positives. Yeah, so the Lyrans, coming from Lyra, that's the Matre, the ones that have created a lot of genetically engineered species. The Mantids, or the Mantis, the Martians. The Martians are humanoid looking, and they're still on Mars. There was a lot of Lyran and Orion wars, and a lot of genetic tinkering before and after that happening as well. So we have quite an extensive history, genetic history, and Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu, there's the Nomo. So Earth has had ancient civilizations and advanced ones for billions of years on this planet. The different reptilians, and they all look different. Some of them have brown skin, green skin, black skin, white skin. Some have wings, some don't. Depends on the species. Some are negative, some are positive. There's the Centesian from Centauri A, Proxima 3, and they're also called the Centaurians, the Sirians, which have contributed a lot to our genetics and evolution as well. The Vegan from Vega, the Venusians from Venus. Yeah, and some of this is a Matre creation, the synthetic type of being, X5 Tychoot. Yeah, and that's the Zeta Reticuli. So this volume shows you guys the physicality of what these extraterrestrials look like and their descriptions, lifespans, ships, where they come from, who they are, their agendas, intentions towards us, and how they're connected to us, or not, as well, because some of them are just come to study Earth and take minerals and samples of plant life, study animals. Not all of these species are here to observe us. Some of them are here to study the Earth itself, the plant life, the animals, the ecosystems. Some of them are just observers, and some of them interact with the humans. It really depends on their agendas and why they're here, from what I've learned. Yeah, so that's basically volume 2 of the book for the Galactic Humans. And these book volumes are available on Amazon and in PDF format on my website, and the links are all in the description. So thank you so much, and namaste.